and good morning here on KATE. The family farm is a vital aspect of the American industry and really a significant contributor to the economy. But maintaining a thriving farm operation is really no small task, given the level of financial commitment, opportunity, and risk associated with agriculture and agribusiness. Yet families across the country continue to dream of the day that the farm will pass to the next generation. And that is our guest on the phone today, Jolene Honkamp. She is with our good friends at Greenhaven Marketing. And Jolene, good morning to you.
Good morning, Paul. How are you doing?
Hey, I am doing great. And for those listeners that maybe are familiar with your name, we actually spoke in person a few weeks ago. How is it that you're tied here to southern Minnesota?
I'm tied to southern Minnesota through Americana Insurance Group. I work with Americana and Tom Sorensen and Suzanne Dixon very closely, working with life sales, long-term care sales, and financial sales, and very tied into the farm community through the Land is Your Legacy program offered through Nationwide.
And we're going to talk a little bit today about succession planning, because that is I guess what you would call it, a portion of the 2017 17th Annual Crop Insurance Update and Ag Conference coming up this Monday, February 6th from 8:30 to 12:30. And Jolene, when we say succession planning, what are we saying when we say that word?
Well, succession planning encompasses a lot more than estate planning. I know a lot of people think of, when they're looking at a family business or even personal, they think of estate planning, getting wills in place and meeting with an attorney. But a successful transition plan for a family business is a lot more, and those are the things I'm going to cover. There's really 5 key pieces of this. So you look at this succession planning. Who is going to be the best to take over the family farm? So it's a lot of communication. Then the business planning. You're looking at how the farm is set up. Right now, it is supporting the current family. And if you look at the next generation, is it profitable enough to support more family members, or do you have the right people in place? Also looking at risk management, how the business is currently set up. So you want to mitigate as much risk as you can, and then looking at financial independence. If you're starting to phase out one generation, can they be independent without working on the farm and letting the other generation come in and mentoring those people to take over the farm, getting them in front of some of the people they have relationships with a community bank, with some of the vendors, so that the other vendors look at them as being the decision makers going forward. And lastly, and it is an important piece, is the estate planning. Getting all the paperwork in place, getting the will, everything else in place that is going to successfully transition that business to the next generation. So it is a lot of communication. It's getting everyone in the family together and talking about it, because the main goal is when something like this happens, you want to be able to have family members all getting along, spending Christmas dinners together in the holidays just as they were before.
Talking today with Jolene Honkamp with Greenhaven Marketing. And Jolene, what we're talking about is succession planning, and it's a process. It's not a one-time event. And you mentioned you still want to be able to have holidays with the family when the inevitable does happen on the family farm. Is this something that what people should be taking seriously, is succession planning? Do a lot of people have succession plans already?
No, they really don't. They're, according to studies that they did in 2013, 2.2 million farms in America are family farms. So 97% of all farms operated in the U.S. are family farms. Only 11% have a transition plan in place. That's not saying they don't have an estate plan, but to have a transition plan that is really communicated, everybody's on board, and they're all moving towards the same goal, there is only 11%. So it's a very small number. And what a lot of people may not know is even if you don't have a transition plan, that you have something in place, the state of Minnesota has one in place for everyone. So even though you didn't put one in place, the state of Minnesota will have one for you. And that's something that I go over with my presentation that I'm going to talk about next Monday. And I have experience with this with my son, who passed away at the age of 31 suddenly. And he passed away on July 1st, 2015. January 27th of 2017, I just closed his probate case. And he was not a farmer. He did not own a business. So if you have a family farm, it is going to be much more cumbersome. It is going to take a lot longer, and it's going to be very costly.
And that's what we're saying, that if there's no plan in place, it's going to be a lot longer to kind of settle what's going to happen with the family farm.
Because the state has a plan in place for you, and they have certain guidelines that they follow, and there is no deviation from that plan. So you may have had something in your mind that you wanted to have happen, and the state looks at their piece they have in place, and when someone passes away, first in line is going to be the spouse, then it goes to the children, then it goes to siblings, so it just keeps going down the line. So even though you may have wanted to pass this farm along, to a child, it will be split evenly between all the children.
Talking with Joe. Oh, go ahead, Jolene.
Well, I just wanted to point that out, that it's important for you to have a plan in place that you've worked through, that you've communicated to the family. That's important.
Talking with Jolene Honkamp, Vice President at Greenhaven Marketing. Jolene, we don't want to give it all away because we want people to attend the 17th Annual Crop Insurance Update and Ag Conference brought to you by Americana Insurance, coming up February 6th, 8:30 to 12:30. Your session is at 1:30 after lunch. And people going in, I'm sure they'll have some idea, of course, of succession planning. They've heard of it, and it sounds like you're really going to be going through a lot of what people need to know. Is this a long, I guess more of a time-consuming task for people to do, or is it something, when you work with someone like yourself, it's pretty easy once you kind of have all the key players lined up?
We make it very easy. There's a whole workbook that I will sit down and go through with the business owners. We try to get the family together with a family meeting, or they can do that on their own, but we'll gather all the different pieces from the business, how it is set up, everything that it encompasses, all the financial data. We're looking at usually 2 to 3 years worth of tax returns, gathering all the information, and from there we're talking goals and their concerns. This will go in, it's reviewed by attorneys, accountants, myself, and other consultants, and we put a plan in place with recommendations. We get them back a very nice notebook that we work through. So we come up with original recommendations. We sit down with the family, go through everything, and this is an ongoing plan. Everyone has family changes, so it's something we try to look at every 3 years, or even sooner if there are other life-changing events, if someone gets married, if there's a divorce, if there's new children born. It's a growing plan, and we just keep working with them to adjust it. And the best thing about this, normally if you sit down with someone, with attorneys and other people, to put a plan like this together, you're paying thousands of dollars. This is offered through Nationwide Financial as a free service.
I got to admit, go ahead.
That's another reason to come to the presentation, see what we are offering, and I'm going to actually go through a case so that everyone will see everything that it entails.
I have to imagine, Jolene, it's got to be a difficult decision for that farmer, the person that runs the land, runs their own business, on selecting who is going to be taking over, because if a person has 4 or 5 kids, chances are not all 4 or 5 of them really are into the business or understand the business. So it's got to be tough on a parent to make some of these choices.
It is tough, but it is something that normally, as the children get older, you can kind of see where their interests lie. You see a lot of times the farmers, they don't want to make those difficult decisions working with the family, so they keep it with of the children in equal shares. And a lot of times a farm cannot operate going forward like that if you have people that are not interested in farming. And that's why it's so important to have that family meeting, to talk to each individual and find out what their interests are. A lot of them maybe have gotten land, they're farming on their own. And would this be a nice fit to expand their farm operation? Or would it be better to have someone maybe that has been working all along with the parents on the farm and have that be the natural transition? So you uncover a lot of different things by meeting with the business owners and then expanding it to the family, just to get everybody's input, to get everyone communicating. You would think running a business, everyone would be communicating and talking, but you really uncover a lot when you have someone else come in and sit down and talk to everyone and identify what everyone's goals and what their concerns are.
Now, Jolene, you're going to be out at the 17th Annual Crop Insurance Update and Ag Conference. Your session is at 1:30, talking about land as your legacy. Anyone listening right now that will be attending the conference, should they bring anything at all to this session?
No, they really don't have to bring anything. I will have handouts, and I'll have a sign-up sheet. So if anyone is interested in more information or having me come out, I do have handouts where they can start identifying what some of their goals are going forward, and I will also have some of the workbooks that I can leave with them. But basically, they're just there to gather information and see if this program would be a good fit for them.
And, of course, you have to register for this conference, 377-2000, or you can email insights@americanainsurance.com to reserve your seat today. Jolene, anything else that you'd like the listener to know today about succession planning and what they're going to expect at the 1:30 session, Land as Your Legacy, coming up this Monday?
I just wish that everyone would stay for this session. It is something I'm very passionate about. They're going to get a lot of information, and a lot of that information is going to apply directly to them. I know when I've done this in the past, even when I ask how many people have started the estate planning, there are quite a few people in there that have not. So there's a lot of people who are at risk. This is a free program. It's an ongoing program. So it's in their best interest to come and listen and see what they get out of it and sign up for a meeting.
Jolene Honkamp, she's Vice President at Greenhaven Marketing. Jolene, looking forward to seeing you back in town Monday, February 6th, 1:30. It's the session, 17th Annual Crop Insurance Update and Ag Conference, 377-2000 to reserve your seat today. Jolene, I want to thank you for your time today on the phone.
Thank you, Paul. It was my pleasure.
Once again, that was Jolene Honkamp with Greenhaven Marketing. It's the 17th Annual Crop Insurance Update and Ag Conference, Monday, 8:30 to 12:30 at Riverland Community College. You have to be a farmer to attend, or like a landowner. You just can't be anyone. So make sure you call and reserve your seat today, 377-2000, or you can email insights@americanainsurance.com. Coming up, we will take a look at that weather forecast in just 30 seconds here on KATE.